Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the 5 O'Clock Sweats podcast, a podcast where we talk about the stuff that we like to do when we're not working. I'm one of your co-hosts, Derick.
And I am Ryan.
And eagle-eyed viewers. I think I've said this before. Eagle-eared listeners. Yeah. That's nothing. We are down a man today. Chris is not with us tonight for this recording. So we thought we'd bring you another anime episode.
Another weeb episode, baby.
Let's go. Are. Yeah, in the three-way Venn diagram of the things that the three of us like, I think anime is firmly in the intersection between only you and me.
Yeah, Chris is
very far away from that intersection.
Yeah. Although it's my goal to get him addicted to at least one anime. And I know we talked about that John Wick one. I don't know when it's coming out. I haven't heard anything else about it, but when that does, we're going to be, and there's some out now that we can honestly turn him on to, and I think he'd enjoy it if he just kept an open mind, which, with Chris is, it's hit or miss.
Hey, man, our New Year's episode just went out, so he's been trying to be more open-minded, so maybe.
He literally said that verbatim, so yeah, well, anime should be one of his resolutions then. Watch an anime, give it a chance. Do it for the boys, please.
Yes. And I feel like this past year of anime has been a little crazy for me, at least. Again, if you didn't listen to our last anime episode, or I guess any episode where we talk about anime, I didn't really watch anything since I was like 12, maybe, like pre-high school. I knew that once I started, I'd be hooked. And since January of 2022, it's been 2 years and I've not stopped.
Yeah,
I've just found new series to watch and setting them up and knocking them down.
No, you're on an anime bender, and I'm so jealous, and I'm proud of you, because I wish, I wish I was on that level of just like just running through animes left and right. Like I watched a few this year, but you've lapped me multiple times. I mean, you fucking watched all the you watched all the Studio Ghibli movies minus the newest one that just released in theaters. So, I mean, that in itself is an impressive feat for a year, but there's way more than
that. That did take a while, but I am proud of that. But yeah, 2023 has been nuts, and I think we probably alluded to this in a past episode, but something we really wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
last episode of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, 2023 was I think it was a great year for anime, and also in 2023, arguably the greatest anime ever created, finished. It actually finally finished after what was probably a record-setting season in terms of length. Like, I think season 4 started airing in like 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
And we
should probably say this right up front, but if you've not watched the last episode of Attack on Titan, you're going to want to skip forward to a different thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, well, Derick will take care of the Derick will take care of the bookmarks. So just click to the one that doesn't say anything about Attack on Titan on it. But yeah, I can't believe it. It's been almost 2 months to the day since the last episode aired. Wow. And the amount, I know, right? November 4th. The hype going into that episode, I mean, for me personally, was just like, as soon as because I was waiting anxiously ever since part 1 released back in the spring. It's like, when the hell, or was that winter? When did that come out? March? I think like March or something. I've been chomping the bit. It's like, it's going to come out this year. They've already confirmed it's coming out this year, but when are they going to freaking announce it? And I think they finally announced it in like September or something, or like early October. No, it had to have been like mid to late or September, where they were like, oh, November 4th is the day. So
it's coming.
Yep. So I had my calendar marked and counted down the days, and we had a little watch party, which I thought was pretty fun.
We did.
It's
It was.
you, me, and our good friends Kevin and Jill, who we play disc golf with a lot. We had a little soiree at my place, and we gathered around and
An
crossed
Attack
our.
on Titan themed soiree.
We did, dude. Shout out to Jill and Kevin because they supplied some really really cool Attack on Titan themed like syringes
Attack
for
on Titan.
Titan. I'm like Titan watching Attack on Titan. But they supplied like these really awesome and cute syringes for the like not Chick-fil-A sauce, but the dipping sauce we had for the nuggets they brought.
Yeah, it's
And
a Chick-fil-A Hawaiian sauce, I think.
I
They
forget
put it
it's
in
called
little like
Polynesian
syringes meant
sauce.
to like administer medicine to dogs or something.
Yeah, but it was like the Titan syringes, which was awesome. And I did try
Zeke's
using it a
spinal
few
fluid.
times. It was messy, but it was worth it. And then I made some potato themed food, and you
I just brought a bag of potatoes.
you brought a bag of potatoes, which
I went to the grocery store, bought a bag of potatoes, and then brought them to your house.
you did. And
Zero prep.
I think you literally held a potato in your hand while we watched the episode, if I remember correctly, or you had a single potato with you in your chair.
Yeah. I picked the best potato out of the bunch. I washed it off, and I kept it with me while we watched.
Yeah. That
And
was
then, again, spoiler alert, when Sasha was back, I grabbed it, hit the Sasage on. Just with the potato.
that is by far the funniest thing one of the funniest things I've seen you do. And yeah, if you're watching this and you're confused, there's a certain character on the show, Sasha, who is one of our favorites. R.I.P. Sasha. She the first time you see her in the show, she is eating a potato, and
from stolen potato at that. I think right?
Stolen potato, and then I don't know if she stole it, but she offered
too.
Yeah, she steals the meat, but I think the potato she just brought to the ODM gear training session, and then she like offered to share. She offered to give what's his face half of it, and it wasn't half. It was like a third or a quarter of the potato. Oh man! So she was from there on known as Potato Girl, and we honored her with potato food during the last episode. So yeah, that happened. Attack on Titan ended. It was a bittersweet day and evening. And I just want to. I'm thankful that Crunchyroll didn't crash, or I don't think it did. We watched part 1 of the finale right before the new one, and we went right into it, no delay, which was great. And man, that was such a cool experience.
On Hulu for that one, actually.
We did, yeah. Okay, yeah, because Crunchy was having problems, but luckily Hulu came in with the save, and we were able to just dive right into it. And honestly, that like watching it that way was so much better because you had all the momentum and the build up from the first part going into this last finale. And it was like a pretty seamless transition. And yeah, I just wanted to like talk about the finale and like, what did we think? Like, was this a fitting and satisfying conclusion to arguably one of the greatest, well, definitely one of the greatest animes ever created, but one of the greatest works of fiction ever written and ever created. And I just wanted to get your thoughts, obviously, but I'll start. And obviously, I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I
hear a butt coming here.
There's no but. Trust me. Yeah, this show, the ending, it completely knocked it out of the park. And I'll admit, I knew what was going to happen because I was an impatient person back when the original season before the 2-part finale released. I couldn't wait a year. I read ahead on the manga, so I knew everything that was going to happen going into these last couple episodes. And it followed it to a T. And reading the manga, and then I read the last chapter the day it released, and there was a lot of criticism towards it. A lot. Like the internet was like most, I would say at least like 70% of the internet was like, this is awful. What happened?
Wow.
Yeah.
It went the
And
way of Game of Thrones then.
yeah. I didn't think it was that bad. And in fact, I didn't think it was really bad at all.
Which things were they picking at?
There was, well, basically the whole sequence with Aaron and Armin in paths when they're little kids talking to each other, and
okay,
they're walking through like the lava, and they visit the ocean and the desert and whatnot, and that whole conversation, and then the famous panel, which I saw a lot when that first released, was Aaron, after Armin punches Aaron in the face, Aaron sitting in the water, basically saying he's in love with Mikasa. He doesn't want her to be with anybody else and to never forget him, or to pine after him for at least 13 years or something like that. That got memed to oblivion, and people were making fun of it so much.
Yeah, I do remember you talking about this.
Yeah.
It was probably the day after we watched it together. I will agree that was like tonally, like it gave me whiplash. Like all of the show until then was like emotional and poignant, or like suspenseful, or like a ton of action, and then like this brief area of peace where they're in the paths. And then like he was being all mushy and stuff, and then he flips into this like, but I want her to love me because I love her. And I'm like, I mean, yeah. And like I know the argument is like he's just always been a kid and like has been forced into this role of like executing his own fate. But like at the same time, it was really just like, you know, Armin, like we could have done all this, and but Mikasa, she can love me and I can love her. It's just not fair. And then right back to the paths again.
Yep. And then there's also a line in the manga where Armin basically thanks Aaron for becoming a genocidal maniac for their benefit. Not the best way to write to phrase that. But luckily in the anime, they rewrote a lot of the dialogue in that sequence and definitely made it more palatable and a lot better. Armin instead tells Aaron, I think, like basically they're both going to go to hell because he believes he's just as guilty for Aaron causing the rumbling, because he showed Aaron he showed him the book when they were younger, and then showed him like all the things that were supposedly outside of the walls, and that's why Aaron yearned for freedom so much, was to experience those things. So Armin felt culpable for that as well. But going back to the,
which is weird for Armin because of the whole timey-wiminess of it, right?
Yeah.
Because Aaron already exists, that means he's already going to exist to make himself exist. To make himself exist how he exists. So, like, Armin, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, he exists.
I actually don't.
If Armin can show him the book, that means Aaron exists. And if Aaron exists, that means older Aaron exists to influence his own existence that Armin showed the book to.
Yeah,
so just Aaron exists. Okay, anyway.
the paths is very like it's very confusing and very simple at the same time. You would basically just have to suspend all time and whatnot when they're in the paths, because time doesn't really exist there. It just is all happening at once. So yeah, with that in mind, I kind of understand what you're saying.
Oh no, just completely remove the paths from it. Just the fact that he's the attack titan and he can just like zip zop zoop through wherever the fuck he wants to go to like influence other attack titans. Like he influenced himself becoming himself, basically, because he couldn't not do it.
Yeah, and then he influenced Grisha to kill the royal family as well.
Yeah, so what is Armin really going to do?
Yeah, but
Because you
to
showed
be
him
honest,
like reading Rainbow.
yeah, and to be honest, like when Armin says that to Eren, does he truly believe it? I don't know. I think that's up to interpretation. I think Armin's just trying to be a good friend in the moment and try to take some of the heat off Eren because he can tell Eren's really remorseful for everything. He's like he wishes it probably could have gone another way. Eren even says like he tried for it to go another way, and each time he did, it everything was basically determined to end the way that it ends in the show. But then going back to that scene where Eren's crying over Mikasa, that whole sequence.
That's where this tangent came from.
Yeah, that whole sequence.
I'm so bad at that.
What you said is correct. Like that scene's supposed to show like Eren is being himself. Like Eren, like I know it's been so long since we've watched like the first few seasons of Attack on Titan, but Eren was always like a whiny little kid. And like we love Eren because he's also a badass, but there were some really pathetic moments where he was crying and basically like having fits throughout the show. I mean the whole season 3 arc where he's trapped in the I forget what that place is called, but where Historia and the Reese family were at, and Eren's chained up.
Oh yeah.
That whole thing, like he's just Eren's pathetic throughout that entire thing, basically just wanting to die, because he just thinks he's the most pathetic person to ever live. So season 4 was kind of like Eren putting on a veil because he had seen what had happened, and he knew like this is what needed to be done. So he just put on his mean face basically, and was an asshole for basically the entire season.
Yeah, for the rest of the show,
because he had to be. Yeah, I mean that's why he pushed away Mikasa and Armin. That's why he punched Armin, and then told Mikasa basically like, "I hate you.
Don't mean anything to me.
I don't care about you at all," because he was pushing him away. He didn't really mean any of that. So he put his mean face on throughout the entirety of season 4, and then finally in this moment with Armin, his best friend, and no one else is around to see this, he can finally lower the veil, and he can just be like who he really is. He doesn't have to try anymore. So that's how I interpreted that. I think a lot of people lost that because they thought that season 4 Eren was who he was, where maybe a part of him is like that. Like Eren is a very determined character. Like when he sets his mind on something, he'll fucking do it. I mean, you saw the lengths he went through, like when he invades Marley and he freaking cuts his leg off and stabs his eye with the bullet so he can infiltrate Marley. Like
it's fucking
who does
hardcore.
that? Who fucking does that shit? Like that's you have to be a level of like insane to do that. And he's definitely insane.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, that whole path sequence with Armin and Eren is what really caused people to really shit on the manga ending. That was a huge part of it. There were other parts, but that was the main part. But watching it animated, it translated so much better. And part of that I think is the medium of anime. But also, like I said, they did tweak a little bit of the writing with Armin and Eren. But also, I just think that the anime onlys just received it better. Yeah. And then which was crazy because like the reception to the ending and to that part specifically was flip-flopped. Basically, from what I saw on the internet, like the weeks after it, where like it was like 70-30 people in favor of the ending, like, oh, this was great, like this was perfect, which really made me happy because I was so worried that because I knew that I was going to be okay with the ending. Yeah, I wasn't sure how everyone else was going to feel. I wasn't sure how you were going to feel. I wasn't sure how Kevin and Jill were going to feel. I didn't want this great show to be tainted by an ending that was generally disliked. Like that would have been such a stain. I didn't want to pull a Game of Thrones, even though I also don't like Game of Thrones' ending. I think that
I was pretty worried about that too, honestly.
Yeah.
Mostly because I know how special this show is to you. Like I know how deep in the paint you got. Like
I
just basically immediately, right? Like you watched so much. You had YouTube documentaries on Aaron Yeager.
oh
You
yeah,
had
I'll send
you
them to
read
you.
the
I think.
manga all the way through. Like
Yeah.
you were committed. You had the passion. It showed. I really didn't want you to be disappointed with whatever they did in the last episode. Like if they stayed true to the manga or if they didn't.
Yeah, no, it was, and there were theories that were like, oh, there's going to be an anime original ending, which didn't happen. There were a couple of tweaks to the very end, but that not enough to say it was an original ending. They just clarified some things, I guess. So, like the ending credits where they're showing
lapse?
the time lapse where they're showing Aaron's grave. And you have like it shows Paradise in the background, like getting rebuilt, and then all of a sudden getting destroyed, and then rebuilt again, and then or not rebuilt again. It gets nuked eventually. They did a better job of showing that this was way in the future because the buildings looked a lot more like sci-fi and like futuristic.
Yeah,
like I'm talking like hundreds of years in the future, probably. Maybe even more than that. In the manga, the buildings looked a little more modern, and like those could have been built in like I don't know 50 to 100 years, which would also imply that like everyone living in Paradise that like knew Aaron died, when in fact, and even like their grandchildren, whoever had grandchildren living in Paradise, like they probably died as well. And
this is like way into the future.
Generations and generations, like so far in the future that like who gives a fuck, honestly.
Right. And what I heard was it was supposed to be portrayed as like 2,000 years or something like that.
That makes sense.
Where like the original was Ymir talking to Aaron, and then after the end of the credits, then it'll be Aaron 2,000 years to whatever comes next. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I'd put any stock in it, but I just remembered.
If it was a 2,000-year time lapse, I guess that makes sense given like how the number 2,000 is frequently used in the show. And then the very end with the kid and the dog finding the new tree, which is obviously like that ending's up to interpretation as well. Like people obviously are going to think like, oh, well, the cycle repeats itself, which is one way of looking at it. Or the tree is not a Titan creating tree; it's just a tree that will grant the user who finds it or falls into it or whatever, it grants it the power that it desires most. So like Ymir, when she fell into the tree and the hallucinogenia creature thing attached itself to her spine, she wanted to survive. She wanted to be able to defend herself. So it gave her, and I don't think she wanted to die either. So it gave her a never dying body, a Titan body, basically an all powerful Titan body to grant her that wish. Now, does that kid that finds the tree, does he want to survive, or what does he want? Maybe he's got really good intentions, or maybe he wants something more pure.
More dogs.
More dogs. Oh my god. He just becomes a giant fucking dog. He becomes Clifford. It's the prequel to Clifford.
Attack on Titan.
It's just the prequel to Clifford. Could you imagine that shit? Shit. He's a Clifford shifter. Clifford's actually a human. He's in the nape of the dog.
Is that the rumbling? Is Clifford running?
Oh my god. man.
shit.
Yeah, so we kind of just jumped a little bit all over the place there at the ending. I wanted to get your thoughts on, I guess on, well, not I was going to say like the episode overall, but like the ending in your opinion. Like, I mean, you watched the anime. Did you start Attack on Titan in 2023? Was that last year or
That
2022?
was the first thing we watched together, so that must have been 2022.
Okay, so you watched all the entirety of the show in a pretty condensed period of time, in like a year and a half, maybe a little less, probably a little less than that.
Yeah, I think you and I watched most of what was out, and then the last half of the season we watched as it was released.
Yeah,
And then there's a big drought before this last episode.
yeah, big drought. But with all that in mind, like, what did you think? Like, were you satisfied with the overall conclusion? Like, any surprises, I guess, or and like, the death toll in the last episode is surprisingly low.
Yeah,
I think
the cast death toll.
Yeah, sorry.
The overall human death toll is astronomical.
Yeah, I got to clarify it. 80% of the human
80%.
population died
in that one episode, basically.
Yeah. So the death toll is gargantuan, but the main cast, not so much. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the episode? Were you satisfied with it?
So I will say that when we watched this episode, that was the first and last time I watched it. So I haven't seen it again since then.
Okay.
Before this recording, I had you kind of jog my memory on what was up. I think overall, I did like the ending. There were some things that I was glad that they wrapped up. Hanji doing Hanji things.
Oh, Hanji.
And meeting up with everyone and Erwin. That was nice. I am surprised that Levi made it out the other side.
Yeah.
He went into that basically still bleeding. Like, what? And he did so much.
He had what, 2 fingers on his dominant hand?
And he's like, that's
2
all
or
I
3.
need, dog.
Yeah, he's like, that's all. He could barely squeeze the ODM gear.
Yeah.
The trigger. Yeah, I do agree. I don't know. That's probably the one character where, like, I don't know if I'm satisfied. I don't know if I would prefer the fact that he would die or the ending that he got. Because he lives, obviously, but the last shot is him giving candy to children, which I think is cute. And not like, you wouldn't picture Levi really doing that, but he's obviously a changed man by the time the show's over.
Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that surprised me was when Armin was talking to Zeke, and then Zeke finally like realizes like, oh fuck, I can do something about this.
Yeah.
And he comes out like Chunk from the Goonies. He's like, hey, you guys. And he like calls Levi over and like starts helping them and all that. Like, I honestly thought at that point that Levi was going to basically kamikaze Zeke. Like, no matter what happens, like, he's going to kill Zeke, but he's going down too. And when that didn't happen, I'm like, all right, well, is he just like chilling on Aaron's spine somewhere? And no, there's a sick ODM like sequence that he just is in.
Yeah.
He does so much after that. Like that's the other thing that surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have an Attack on Titan finale without Levi doing one last badass thing. And I mean, he had a lot of good moments in that final episode. Like he's fending off full-fledged Titan shifters. I know they're not like real per se, but like they're as real as they can be in that moment when they're fighting on the back of Aaron's spine.
That's another thing. So I think I was talking to you about this before we watched that last episode, but ever since Aaron took the Warhammer Titan, I'm like, that seems OP. Like, why the fuck isn't he using that more?
Yeah.
And he used it a hell of a lot in this episode. It was
He
basically all of the opponents.
He did. Now, I will say that this was not confirmed by
Mm-hmm.
Tori by the creator or anything, but I think I think he spawned Zeke. He definitely spawned Zeke in the beginning before when they're about to land the airplane on him. He spawned Zeke to take them out. But after that, it's heavily hinted that Ymir is the one spawning the Titan shifters. Because Armin there's a scene where Armin's like, he's having like that anime inner monologue where he's like, is Ymir doing this? Is Ymir fighting back? Does she want this? So yeah, I don't know. That's a little murky, but yeah, I mean, it is Aaron's it is Aaron's Warhammer Titan power that she is using, and he's not stopping her from using it. I don't know if he even could, because she's the founder,
Right.
but so it gets a little messy there. But but either way, like the Warhammer Titan power is being utilized, whether it's by him or by Ymir. He's not stopping it. Yeah,
And then, correct me if I'm wrong. Jean is the one that actually disconnects the head from the spine, right? With the explosives?
yeah. He's the one that detonates the TNT on his neck. Yeah.
And then, didn't you say he was the one that was like the most proficient at ODM training?
Yeah, there's
something like that?
yeah, I think that's more implied in the manga, but like early Attack on Titan, like I'm blanking on this guy's name, but he was an important he was an important character in the show, but the teacher, the ODM gear
Yeah.
teacher, he was basically going through the different characters, the different students, and he said Jean was like the most proficient
Not
at the
Shadis,
ODM
right?
gear. It is. Wait, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
No, wait.
No, it's the
That's-
other guy, right? Wow. But yeah, while you look that up, even if it is true that Jean was the most proficient, I still feel like it was not believable when he was the one to complete that mission. Like, it just didn't seem like that should be his to complete. And I mean, to be fair, I don't have an alternative. You know, this isn't oppose and propose.
Yeah.
It's just oppose and laugh. But that's
Keith,
how I felt.
Keith Shadis was the teacher, and he has
There he
that
is.
good moment at the when they're fleeing the harbor, I guess, and he dies with the basically the Marley version of him.
Yeah, McGaff.
Yeah, yeah. And they both die together. So sorry, you basically were saying that you didn't believe Jean would be the one to do that.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it should be his. I mean,
Yeah.
in my mind, like, they're not gonna put Mikasa on like what honestly seemed like a trivial task or like a menial task, but like it was a very important task. But like it just there's some friction with it being Jean. I don't know why.
I mean, I thought it was I liked it. And honestly, like every other character had a moment, and that was Jean's moment.
Yeah.
Basically. Everyone else had a moment. Like Peak had her moment where she's using her endurance as the as her Titan to keep transforming rapidly. Like she can just keep transforming without getting too tired.
She's nuts, yeah.
Reiner just goes crazy in this episode, fighting Titans like 1v10, and then also grappling with the hallucigenia creature when it's trying to reattach itself to Eren. Like he was one of the MVPs for this episode, honestly. Like,
oh, for sure.
Reiner put it all on the line. Mikasa, obviously, you know, the ending had her moment. Armin, Colossal Titan, Levi being Levi, and then giving
Connie.
Mikasa the opening. Connie, what does Connie do in the episode?
Dude, that hurts a little bit.
What did Connie...
He had no hair, remember? Dude, Falco?
Yeah, he was bald. well, Falco turned into a fucking bird.
God damn. Yeah, I remember seeing the still from that, like where Mikasa's just like hanging in the middle of Aaron's ribcage and there's just wings behind her.
Such a cool frame.
Yeah, not knowing what was going to happen, I was like, what the fuck is this frame gonna be?
Yeah.
And then I saw.
Yeah, no, Falco becoming, his jaw titan becoming a bird was heavily hinted at throughout the entire season. His name is literally Falco. You add one letter and it's Falcon. So, very heavily hinted at throughout the season. Gabby had another moment where she just has aimbot and she snipes the Opaki. I'm pretty sure the one that has Armin in its mouth. Pretty sure she snipes that thing, and that's what slows it down.
I need Gabby on my squad for real.
Dude, she would be really good at CSGO.
There might be some personal issues there.
Yeah, fuck.
Vis-a-vis Sasha, but
oh man,
we could work past that.
Did Connie have a moment? I don't think he did. His moment was when him and Jean are about to turn into pure titans, and he's like got his arm around him. He's like, this is your fault, basically. He's like one last jab at his good buddy.
And therein lies the final criticism I have. And yes. I believe that you already refuted this for me the night that we watched this, but all of the people turned into titans, right? All the people still on the ground turned into titans, right? Yep. So that's like they left Gabby behind, Connie and Jean were down there, like people got turned. And then at the end, they got turned back and they've still got all of their clothes. What's up with that? Intact. It wasn't an Incredible Hulk situation. They had their normal clothes fitting the right way the whole time.
Yeah.
What's up there?
Listen, I mean, I think we just have to suspend belief for a little bit. I mean, we're dealing with giant humanoid creatures eating humans and whatnot. I do agree, though. Like,
yeah, but this part isn't realistic.
They would be totally naked.
It's the only thing.
They should be nude, hugging each other.
Whoa!
In disbelief that they're alive.
All right, nice. You saved it there.
All right, good. Yeah, that. I mean, listen. That part, if that part bothers you, that part bothers you. You can harp on that if you'd like. You can write a letter.
No, I'm good.
Naked.
I'm pretty sure that letter would. Yeah, that would get me on a list.
Oh my god. But we got to talk about. We can't talk about the ending without talking about the two main characters of the show. We got Mikasa and we've got Aaron, and they have a couple of moments at the end there. The whole cabin sequence, absolutely gorgeous. I love that sequence so much. It was handled very well in the anime. I thought they did a great job with the colors, and Aaron looked so good. Like old school looking Aaron with his shorter hair.
Yeah.
Looking like him, basically. I thought that was a really, really good sequence, and I don't know, what was your interpretation of that scene? Like, what did you think was happening right there? Do you think that was like real, or like was that like a dream, or what?
I thought that was a dream that Mikasa was having, of what could have been.
Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty.
I know you have like the prevailing theories on this, right?
Well, I don't know if I have like the answer, because again, I don't think this has been like confirmed or anything, but pretty sure that Ymir is able to give Mikasa those memories, which is also strange because this is another plot hole that Ackermans can't have their memories altered by the Founding Titan. So it's not necessarily like her memories are being altered, but there's something being added to her mind. So I don't know if that's the same thing or not. but the fact that she was able to see it is a little strange. But I'm tossing that aside. It's kind of like the clothes on the people after they turn to Titans. Like, just I'm going to suspend belief on that for a bit, just because they gave us a really good scene. But I think it was either Ymir or Eren that sent her that memory or sent her that vision. I think it was Ymir because she knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, and
think,
Ymir was all about love to begin with. Right,
yeah,
that was her whole thing, that she loved the king, right?
Yeah, well, I don't
At
know.
first.
So Eren says that she loved King Fritz, but that's Eren's interpretation. Now, she might love him, but not in like a romantic way. I think she just appreciated the king because he actually like paid mind to her, at least in the beginning, even though he was a total asshole to her and treated her like total crap, but at least like he acknowledged her existence. And I think like in a sick, twisted way, that was her version of love. Like she had never been treated that way before. So the whole thing, like another thing in the mom. Sorry, there's a lot to take in here.
We are just going through a bunch of shit right now.
There's a lot to take in. There's no cohesion to this at all, but it's okay. If people have watched the episode, they know what we're talking about. There's the whole scene where at the end Mikasa sees Ymir and then she fades away. And there's like a quick little frame of Ymir with her children, like another alternate reality. Like, what if she had let King Fritz die instead of taking the spear for him? Because that's how she died. Because she took the spear because she thought like that was who she was doing it out of. I mean, in my interpretation is that she did that because she wanted to save King Fritz because she loved him. Where in reality, at the very end, she realizes that King Fritz didn't love her. The real love in her life were her children. And that was the true love in her life. So she's able to kind of disappear and kind of just, I don't know, be satisfied,
I guess. Ghosts like, have unfinished business.
Yeah, exactly. She finally like came to the realization that like the kids are the love of her life. Like she experienced love in her life, and that was through her kids, not through King Fritz. So she's able to vanish peacefully, I guess, with a clear mind.
Yeah. I will say that basically everything from the point where Mikasa is holding a part of Eren in her arms, everything from there until the end credits, I don't really have strong opinions on. I'm like, all right, this is happening now. Now that's happening. Okay, now, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And the whole sequence where Mikasa actually does kill Eren, in the anime, it was so well animated. Like that was such a good sequence. That whole sequence, I know you alluded to it earlier, but the whole sequence when Armin, it's just so epic, and the scale is crazy because Armin and Eren, they're both colossal titans and they're fighting, and they're just fucking throwing left hooks, right hooks at each other. Like pieces of Armin's jaw are coming off and flying through the air. And then little Falco and Mikasa and Levi are just flying through the debris to try to get to Eren because they realize that his head is in the mouth. And then that ODM sequence by Levi is just chef's kiss.
Oh, like, wow. We both chef's kissed.
We both did it. It's worthy. It's chef's kiss worthy. That whole sequence is just stunning. And I'm just glad that he had that last badass Levi moment for the audience. But even just like the CGI in that moment looked really good. Like her going into the mouth, like getting the ODM gear like hooks or whatever into the teeth and just like flying through the little gap in the teeth, and then just like basically one motion landing and then jumping up with the sword drawn. And then like the shot of her face right before she cuts him is like basically Beautiful. A 1-for-1. But it's like a 1-for-1 copy of the manga panel. and then Aaron with his someone called it like Disney princess looking like glance up, like it looks like a Disney movie kind of for a second. Not a diss at all. He gets to see the girl he loves most right before she kills him. That's it is nice knowing that she was the last thing that he saw. And then yeah. And he saw like
you.
and what's also crazy, like he saw that moment coming for however long.
Yeah,
I guess
like I was saying before, he saw him see that. He saw him see her.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Makes total sense. Yeah, and then the actually like the conclusion where Mikasa pulls a I don't know if you'll get this reference. I think you'll get this reference. She pulls a Christian Bale in The Dark Knight Rises. Somehow gets from Fort Salva or whatever all the way to Paradise.
Yep.
Don't know how. I'm assuming I want to say Falco flew her there or something, but they can't because the Titan powers are gone. So like, I don't know. I don't know how she got there, but she somehow crossed the ocean to Paradise with Aaron's head on her person, and was able to bury him.
I think she's still got to curry some favor with the Azuma Bitos, right? Given that she's a lady.
True. But they've
got machines, and they're fairly close to Paradise, so maybe that's how she got over there.
It's possible. I do wish that
she got over there.
She did. I do wish they had shown something, but it's anyway up to interpretation, I guess. But yeah, and then she buries Aaron's head under the tree where it all began. Very fitting. And then the last shot before the credits, or the last sequence before the credits, where she's crying, which by the way is just like a really heartbreaking scene, and the music that's playing, so good. And I think you know who's singing that, like in that moment. Did I tell you this, or did you hear this?
What?
It's Mikasa's voice actor.
Yeah.
And Aaron's voice actor is also singing more subtly in the background.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love those little details, little Easter eggs.
They really hit you in the feels.
Yeah.
And then the bird comes down. The friggin' bird, which has been it's been a motif throughout the entire discourse. Yeah, it's been a theme throughout the entirety of the show. It's the first shot of the show is a bird, actually, if I remember correctly. So yeah, birds were playing a huge part, and I think people automatically thought, especially when the manga first released, they're like, "Oh, Aaron's been reincarnated as a bird.
Yeah, this is Aaron
flying to Mikasa, and he's putting the scarf. He's wrapping the scarf around her again."
Yeah, I've seen all the memes that are like on Jean and Mikasa's first date, and it's just a bird glaring at him.
It's so funny.
Which they don't show that in the anime, actually.
No, they don't.
Apparently, in the manga version, Jean and Mikasa have kids, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, not confirmed. I don't think any of that is confirmed. It's heavily hinted at though, because there's a shot in the manga. It's a more close up shot of people visiting the tree or visiting Aaron's gravesite, and one of the shots is Mikasa with a man and a child, and the man looks eerily like Jean. At least the back, you only see the back of his head, but he's got the Jean hair and whatnot. And you know, Jean's had a crush on Mikasa throughout the entire show. It was hinted at in the first season, so it makes sense. It makes sense. You know, my headcanon, and I think most people's headcanons are saying like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that happened.
We'll just roll with it. And even in the anime, like they do, like it's not a close up, but there is a shot that they recreated, and it does look like Jean's back of the head. So yeah, neither confirmed nor denied.
Nope, you heard it here first, folks. Confirmed by the 5 o'clock Sweats podcast.
Jean and Mikasa get hitched, and they have babies.
Mikasa-san.
Jean and Mikasa still wears the scarf
until she doesn't.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to the bird, like I'm not in the belief that bird's Aaron. I don't think that he was reincarnated as the bird. I think that's pretty corny. Again, has not been confirmed nor denied, but I don't think that would be a very fitting ending to Aaron. I just think he's dead, and he's gone. Like, that is a more fitting ending for me. I just think that was just coincidence, and that the bird was just there, and yeah, it was just a way of tying things up. Like, the show started with a bird, it ends with a bird, and birds represented freedom throughout the entirety of the show. So I just feel like that's all that was intended there.
Yeah, any final thoughts on the Attack on Titan episode?
Oh man, it was such a great and fitting conclusion to the series, and I'm sad it's over. But you know what? I respect a show that doesn't overstay its welcome, and Attack on Titan is up there for me. It's probably, if not my favorite show of all time, it's my second favorite show of all time. The ending just shored that up for me. I just think they really wrapped things up nicely. Basically, with very little plot holes, as it's as tight of a story as you can have, and the final episode was just another masterpiece. And I'm happy I got to experience it with you. That was a very special night for me.
Yeah, just as the anime went full circle, I feel like our viewing experience, or at least my viewing experience, of Attack on Titan went full circle.
Yeah, and I cannot wait for another viewing. You know, I will eventually rewatch the whole series from start to finish. Hopefully, I watch with someone who's never seen it before. It's like my favorite thing in the world is to watch something that I know that I love, that I think the other person's going to love, and watching them experience it for the first time. It's like one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can find someone who will watch it with me, and we can just rewatch the whole series again, and I can experience it a second time. What about you?
And I
Your
think on
final
my
thoughts?
end, there was a certain feeling that I felt that I want to bring up, and it was the feeling of final closure. So obviously we watched these kids grow up. We, saw all the things that they had to do and all the things that they had to endure to get to the tough position they were at the end. And then Aaron dies. He beefs it. And the world continues without him, but his friends at least have relatively peaceful lives, right?
Yep.
And Mikasa brings his head to the tree, and though it's a little bit of a tragedy there, it still felt kind of closed.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
the feeling that I felt was in that time lapse sequence during the credits, where it's people visiting Aaron's grave. It's Mikasa bringing him flowers. It's Mikasa's funeral. She's getting buried there. There's
man.
Armin checking on them, and eventually they all die. They've all lived long, happy lives, hopefully. Parodies gets built and bombed and built and nuked, and they're in war. And then the way I interpreted it when I saw it with the kid and the tree and the dog was that it is just a cycle. And the fact that if it is a cycle, and we had Ymir, then we had Aaron, then we had this kid and the dog, if it is indeed a cycle, it all just feels futile. Like everything that we saw from Aaron just felt futile. And it was kind of like this hopelessness of like, even through the 5 or 4 and whatever seasons of stuff that we watch these people go through, in the end it meant nothing, because it's just going to return. And I know nothing comes with an asterisk, because like, again, Aaron guaranteed like a good life for his friends, at least for the rest of their days. But that's how that time lapse made me feel. Hopeless.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly, maybe not complete hopelessness, but I do feel like that was what was intended. A very fitting ending to Attack on Titan, which was overall a gruesome and very, I'm not gonna say completely hopeless, but it's a dark show with a lot of death and a lot of hopeless feelings, there is always like an underlying feeling of hope throughout the show, despite all the carnage and death that you see, and some of it happens to some of your favorite characters throughout the show. R.I.P. Sasha. R.I.P. Hanji. R.I.P. Erwin. All the people we lost along the way. Sasageo, Sasageo. Oh man, but
wow, that came in hot.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, and but to piggyback off what you said, that's why I don't really, the death toll to the main cast doesn't really bother me, because at least Aaron was able to keep his friends alive, and again, let them have as peaceful of a future as possible. I know there's still tension between Paradise and Marley at the end of the episode, at the end of the show, but like the assumption is that they're able to work out some sort of peace treaty for a while, until they don't, until thousands of years
the nukes
later
start
they
falling.
don't. Yeah. So yeah, we'll miss Attack on Titan very much. It's near and dear to our hearts, and thankful for it every day. All right, well, that was our Attack on Titan ramble sesh. A little disjointed, but there was a lot to talk about in that finale, and we honestly didn't even touch on all of it. We tried our best, but yeah, Attack on Titan, we love you, but we're going to take this moment to look ahead to some animes that are coming out in 2024 that we're looking forward to watching. So I've got a list here of a couple that I'm definitely looking forward to checking out in 2024. Some of them are new seasons of shows that we've been watching in the past, and then a couple of them are also brand new shows. So I'll go ahead and I'll name three that I'm looking forward to watching in 2024, and the first one being Kaiju number 8.
Ooh, I don't know about this one. Or I've heard the name, have not looked into it at all.
Yeah, I have literally no idea what this show's about. I'm assuming it's about a kaiju or kaijus. I think I did see something about the main character having the ability to turn into a kaiju, which is pretty sick. And I love kaijus. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. So I'm looking forward to that one. Also, between these two shows that we both have watched and do enjoy, I gotta say I'm a little more excited for the My Hero season coming out.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fun. There's a lot that they've set up.
Yeah.
We'll see what the payoff's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we return back to like peak My Hero, because I'm not gonna say last season was bad. It wasn't bad. It was just a little disappointing for me. Like there were some really good ideas, like Vigilante Deku was awesome. I love his design.
Yeah, I remember the first time we saw him in the opening. The opening, we were like, "Oh, this is going to be a Vigilante arc. Sick."
Yep.
And then, it was what it was.
It was what it was. It was very short lived, unfortunately. Lady Nagant was also a great character who unfortunately dies.
Damn, dude.
Spoilers, sorry for anyone who hasn't seen the latest My Hero season, but anyway, looking forward to the new My Hero season. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Dragon Ball Daima, which is the newest and original Dragon Ball series to come out. I got a lot of flack when it was first announced because people were foaming at the mouth for a new Dragon Ball Super arc, because apparently the ones in the manga are pretty good, and the tournament arc ended on a very high note. So people were just looking forward to riding the Super train. Now, instead, they're giving us an original show with basically the whole cast being turned to kids again, but which kind of sounds like a GT remake, but I think it's going to be much better. I'm excited because Toriyama is like heavily involved with this show. So, and the animation does look very, very nice, very clean. I hear it's like going to be a blend of like DBZ style and then also Dragon Ball Super but more like Dragon Ball Super Broly style, and I really love that animation. So we'll see. I'm excited for it. I'm gonna let it come out and give it a fair chance, and we'll see what it's like. So what are you looking forward to watching in 2024?
So this was probably, or I think this was the second series we ever watched together. Attack on Titan being the first. The second was Demon Slayer. There's a new arc coming out this year. I think it's a Hashira training arc.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, as the name implies, there's going to be some Hashira training in this arc. So we'll see what's up there. But I don't remember if I watched the last season live. I feel like I must have caught some of it at least. Yeah,
we watched the last episode together.
We did. Yeah.
We did. I really enjoyed, like, that last episode was great. But I kind of have the same feelings on the Demon Slayer last season as I do My Hero, where it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it just was kind of like meh. There were some really good moments, but the ending really made it worthwhile for me. So I am very excited for the new season.
Another one that I started in 2023. Wow, the new year's already messing with me. Konosuba season 3 coming out this year as well. As we're recording, hopefully I can get Ryan into watching a little bit of Konosuba as well.
Yeah, I think we're
very excited for more antics, hijinks, and the lot to be animated. And lastly, I think this is something that we both have seen and both want to watch, but Dan-da-Dan.
Yeah, Don. I'm going to say Dan-da-Dan. I don't know, but that's what I'm going with.
But I think this crossed our radars around the same time, because I think you brought it up before one record, and I'm like, I literally wrote that down today. So I am excited to, take in something new.
Yeah, and I think Wit Studios is making it too, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the same studio that made the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. And also, or am I wrong? I don't know. I thought it was Wit. If it's not Wit, correct me in the comments. But I thought it was Wit.
Yeah, you would know better than I. And I guess the last thing that I'm looking forward to, anime-wise, in 2024, on January 1st, I started One Piece from the beginning. Now, this is not going to be at any sort of appreciable pace, like I have been blowing through other series and movies. I am not at liberty to discuss why just yet. But if that plan falls by the wayside, I will let you guys in on that. But I will be watching One Piece this year.
That is quite
Anything
the
else
endeavor.
You got coming up?
Yeah, I was having this thought at the gym today because I was watching a YouTube video with these reaction guys that I watch, and they were listing their top animes from 2023 that they watched, and there's some animes on there that I haven't watched that are well established that I really feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not watching. So, and they're pretty big. So I'm between 2 right now, and that is Naruto, which is probably, on the anime Mount Rushmore, and then Hunter x Hunter. Now,
which that I've that I ripped through that.
Yeah, you really liked Hunter x Hunter. So are you all caught up? Like, I think what's 132 episodes, 140 episodes, something like that?
Yeah, light work, no reaction.
Yeah, so I know there's a lot more Naruto than there is Hunter x Hunter. At least I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
we'll see. But I'm leaning towards Naruto. But anyway, I will keep everyone updated on what I decide to do. But I will be starting it either one very soon, so I could try to get it done before 2025. That's weird to say.
Yeah, I hate that.
Oh, man.
Well, if anybody listening to this has any recommendations to get Chris into anime, just dip his toe in the water a little bit. Feel free to leave a comment down below on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at 5 o'clock sweats. X, we are at 5 o'clock sweats. We're also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Anything else?
I'm good. Sorry if you got spoiled for anything watching this episode, but you were warned, so that's on you.
Oh yeah, I guess anybody who didn't want spoilers got the what we're looking forward to and this.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
Well, there we go. Sorry. Sasageo.
Sasageo.
And as always, stay
sweaty. That was damn good. Damn good.
It's so funny that like everyone's like this, and then when Hanji sees him, Erwin's the only one that's like this because he doesn't have the other arm.
Oh shit! Wait, I didn't even notice that. Holy crap! Is that actually a thing?
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
I gotta see a screenshot.